You. I'll say that somebody else will say it.
It's fine now. Iba kayo yung si Mayor Alaw, it's fine. In council?
Mayor, thank you. The new hairstyle.
We are about to start.
That's cute, right?
Sorry? No, it doesn't want to work. I'm trying to get hold of it.
Public documents and engineering, because they all.
I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning present. 28 July 2022. Those connected virtually to the public, welcome. The executive mayor I see is connected virtually.
That's correct.
Ministers, managers, Mayor, can you hear us?
Yes, Speaker, I can hear you.
I can hear you, Mayor. So that is then the executive mayor is locked in. But sick. So just before we open, I would like to make an announcement. Since last week, Wednesday, the deputy mayor has been leading us in the role of the executive mayor, the absence of the executive mayor. So she will also be having communication. Thank you, the deputy mayor, for your presence, standing in for the executive mayor while he's sick. Next week, when he will be returning sometime next week, the new month of August. So thank you, deputy mayor.
Thank you.
Continue with the attendance register that is circulating. Everybody make sure you sign the register. We will then bow our heads and open this proceedings with a silent prayer starting now. Amen. Then will be, we are now on point 3. I did receive an apology from Councillor Mhlana, who is attending matters that we could not make it today. It's accepted. It's the only leave of absence I've received. The all councillors is present. We will then go to point 4. That deals with the declaration of interest Any councillor would like to declare? Any interest? Take it none. We'll then move to point 5, which is the confirmation of minutes for previous meetings. It is then 5.1, the confirmation of resolutions C6 25/05/22 and C6 27/05/22 at the ordinary meeting dated 31st May 2022. Councillors, is there a full reflection? Councillor Tabai, noted.
Can you speak up? I thought we were going to get an explanation. I'm just saying that there is correction there. Because we picked up that there are mistakes. I thought we were going to get an explanation on how it has happened.
You have the next.
We have listened to the tapes in the first instance. We did not listen to the tapes due to time constraints, but we have listened to the tapes in this instance again, and that is where we have corrected the errors. Our apologies, sir.
Councillor Botha?
Very short, let me just talk. Just with regards to, I know it's going to be discussed later, because this is talking about this specific resolution. Point 1 under the Municipal Public Accounts Resolution C/1/64/06/22. Under point 1, it says that council write off the expenditure outlined in Annexure A of the report with consequences subject to an internal investigation to be conducted on the legal services expenditure. I don't believe that that is what was asked for. If I recall correctly, I believe it was the mayor wanting to satisfy himself, not with an investigation, but with an explanation. I don't know if anyone or what anyone else recollects.
No, thanks, Speaker. The mayor wanted an internal investigation. Subsequent to that, Councillor Mhlanga proposed that it's not only the legal matter, but the whole ticketing of be included because he felt that there's a lot of money that is being spent on this. So the item that I have reduced today speaks to that issue. The executive mayor know is handicapped in terms of speaking the voice. Maybe we can hear him. We ask for the internal investigation be done.
Does that answer you, Councillor?
If that is what everyone else recollects, then I'll stand corrected. Thank you.
Just to note that in that meeting, it was not approved the recommendations of a to write off that there must be investigation.
Councillor Tabai, see your hands up.
No, I'm happy now that what we're correcting is such, because we're going to accept something that was wrong. I'm happy.
So with that, then I take that set is correct. The patient, that Councillor Tabai is then happy with that.
Speaker,
Councillor Liang?
with all the discussion now and the reviewing, it seems that we can accept the minutes as correct, and I propose that we accept the minutes.
Councillor Tabai did say that it's correct, proposed, then with Councillor Nyala. Councillor?
I agree. It's only those two sets of minutes that we didn't agree with. Then we accept it. Are you seconding me?
If you propose, I'm not sure whether you propose, I'll second you.
I'm saying a whole lot of things you should have just seconded.
Yeah, whatever. Let's just get it over and done with.
Proposed by Councillor Tabai.
Taking time here.
Councillor Botha?
Sorry, with another issue. Just coming up to the determination of the upper limits of the salaries, where in here we mentioned section 79 chairperson as being time chairperson. We just wanted to establish, is that correct? That the, it's in the,
Not
it's,
yet by that minute.
Are we not there?
Speaker must still go to the second session.
It's going to the second set.
Except of, it is in 5.2. The minutes of the ordinary council meeting dated 30 June 2022. The minutes is on screen. Is there a true reflection? Councillor Botha, I think this is where you wanna mention something.
yes, thank you. Page, sorry, I'm just getting there.
Point of order, Speaker. Point of order.
Councillor Tabai?
Speaker, I would like you to lead us with the minutes. If it's page, say page 20, page 21, page 2, and we stop you when we reach that particular. Please do that.
Tanya, can you assist us with the minutes, please?
Over to the official.
We now with the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of 30 June 2022 at 9:05, starting at page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, page 14, page 15, page 16, page 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, page 24,
Just hold on, page 24,
Page 23.
23.
Yeah, the section 79 chairperson there, the value set there is for a full-time chairperson. Is that correct? And if so, can a chairperson please be advised?
On page 23,
Number, Speaker?
Councillor Tabai?
It is page 23. You'll understand, Speaker, I proposed in that item and also the deputy mayor seconded. Now we want to understand, is it the true reflection of the figures there? Because we are dealing with minutes now. We want, whatever we see an error, we must correct that error and not accept something that we are not sure of. The question that is being asked by Councillor Bott, the section 79 chairperson is remunerations package.
Ma'am?
Thanks. Chair, can I just first assist before I reply correctly? Councillor Botha, where are you seeing the?
It's highlighted.
highlighted.
One that is
Highlighted.
highlighted.
She was speaking about the chairperson being the full time. So he says the section 79 chairperson, I don't see in section 79 chairperson.
Okay. The value of the remuneration package that states there is for a full-time section chairperson.
Okay.
Currently, I think if we speak to her, she's been treated as a part-time.
Okay. So no, thanks. Speaker, can I just ask that we deal with the minutes because this is what was presented in council. So that amount is what was presented in terms of a section 9 chairperson as per the Gazette for the full-time chairperson. So that was what was presented. So the minutes, there's nothing wrong with the minutes in terms of that. We can perhaps reply not necessarily in relation to the minutes in terms of the chairperson board full-time, or not full-time, in terms of that, But if you reply that, it's not something that is in the minutes now, So we're dealing with the correctness of the minutes, And, yeah, I can reply that, I can give that information.
Thank you, ma'am.
Page 24. 25. 26. 27. 28. Attendance registers 29, 30, and 31, and 32.
That's the set of minutes. Councillor Nel?
Speaker, I propose that we take the minutes as read and correct, with the proviso that the will go back to councillors regarding the section 79 chairperson's remuneration in terms of the upper limits.
Councillor Olivier?
A second.
Seconded by Councillor Olivier, proposed by Councillor Nel. That's the minutes under point 5. Point 6. Statements and communications by the Executive Mayor and the Speaker. Deputy Mayor, standing Executive Mayor, do you have communication?
Good morning, Speaker, Councillors, Municipal Manager, and all people that are joining us remotely. On behalf of the Mayor, I will read his statement and communication. Today is the 28th of July, 2024, regarding settlement arranged for payment of area and write-off offered. We need to encourage those who feel that they cannot afford the payment arrangements offered to also come speak to us to see what arrangement can be made to us to settle their debt. The municipal manager has discretion to make decisions on individuals' circumstances, and it is the municipality's intention to assist everyone to bring their service account up to date. We can possibly arrange a set-off based on payment of current accounts. People must not just ignore their outstanding accounts. We will try to help them to settle. While the municipality was under budget by 2% for this year, in bracket 17 million, it is an improvement on the 20% in bracket 52 million at end of October 2021. Expenditure is 1% in bracket 11 million vs 3% in bracket 6.9. Current ratio is at 1.7, 0.1.0. Another round of outreach programs debt outstanding will be conducted. Thank you very much. That is the correspondence from the Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. With that, nothing from my side. We'll then move to point 7. Point 7 deals with presentations. 7.1, we have 2 presentations. The first presentations will be handled by Angela, who's dealing with the implementation plan for the water management devices. Are you ready?
Stand up in the front. Sorry. Good morning. Do you want us to stand in the front, speak, or sit here?
Yes, for the whole floor to see.
Good morning. I'm just going to introduce Angela. She's actually the supplier of the water meter. I think her relationship with Bitou has even been, it's longer than mine. I started in 2019, but they were already engaged to supply the water meters. Just a bit of background. In 2017, we experienced a drought. Prior to that, we experienced one in 2012. and another one prior to that. So with the same sort of frequency, we tend to experience droughts in Bitou. And so as a response to the drought of 2017, the council approved the implementation, purchasing rather, of water management devices to help, particularly at that time, indigent households to better manage their water use as part of the bigger picture on management and conservation. That is also aligned to policy in revenue services, which actually says that we need to start using smart water meters. So this is one aspect of some municipalities starting to look at water conservation and demand management. As I said, it's primarily at this stage is aimed at indigent households. You see that there's a council resolution from January 2022 this year that was approved that stated there were, 6 resolutions in terms of the implementation of the water meters. I'll come back to that and explain where we are at the end of Angela's presentation. But it is covered in the agenda discussion. She'll just take you through the actual technology, and that's what she will look at today. Okay, yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you, Mayor, Speaker, councillors, and everyone else that is here. Thanks for the opportunity. I think my friends have said I'm really just here to speak to you about the technology of the water meters that you have actually purchased already. I know you've got a very busy agenda, so just very, very brief in terms of exactly how it is. We've been 17 years in business. We've supplied about 450,000 of these specific water meters. And Francie, if I can ask you maybe if we can just see the box behind you. This is what we're talking about, and it comes in a plastic box. And then if you want to send it round or, okay. We have about 130 and then also 120 permanent staff members. You'll see on the board or on the screen where we have our offices. And we also do, like I said, we do meter supplies as well as installations. We've worked with obviously your municipality. We've worked with the City of Cape Town, Joburg, Overstrand, in George, East London. So really across South Africa. I have the, okay, utility systems, they are the manufacturers of the meter. They are based in South Africa, 18 years in terms of providing these water management solutions, and we've supplied 140 or 450,000. They probably deployed 1.4 million of the devices. And when I talk about the devices, that is the small box that you see. That's all the information on it. Then skip the next slide and go to the following one. Part of it. Okay. What you're looking at is a smartphone. You've got a device that manages the water that flows from one part to the container. You can use it in different ways, and I think this is the important information. You can deploy these water meters into any area where you are wanting to provide water to any household. You have the option of having settings flow or free flow. So there's no limit to the number of liters that resident or that household gets. You also have an option to say, because of a drought situation, because we have limited water, we need to set the person on 1,000 liters a day or 500 liters a day. You have that option. That same meter, you also have the option of doing prepaid. So if you're wanting to look at the return in terms of revenue, you have the option. So you can do the basic reallocation of what is required that you need to give to every person, or you can do it open and you bill at the end of the day, or you can do it in a prepaid option. Okay, is that clear? Okay, thank you. So we speak about flow limitation and how it can be configured, and I've spoken about that right now. So you can allocate, let's just say the allocation is going to be 1,000 liters per day or 5,000 liters per day. The meter allows you, as it is here, to say in the morning at 4 o'clock, we're going to dispense 2,500 liters. Then in the afternoon, we're going to dispense another 2,500 liters. You want to make sure that the household has water throughout the day. If there is a leak, the device is able to tell you just by looking at it, if there is a possible leak on the property. If someone tampers with it, the valve is going to shut, which means that you're not going to use any water. Someone will need to go out and investigate. So again, like we said, it contributes to drought relief efforts. If your allocation is 5,000 liters a day and you only use 2,000, the remaining 3,000 is carried over to the next day. So when you have additional water requirements, whatever you don't use is carried over to the next day. And at the end of the month, it will then clear. And then on the first of the month, you'll start off with your new 5,000 liters a day. We spoke about huge, if I can still one back, sorry. Just the second last point. We have come across in different municipalities where residents or owners don't know that they have a leak, and then they could bill 30, 40, 50,000. Again, like I said, because it's got a tamper detection, because it's got a leak detection, you're able to alleviate this extra expense that they may incur. And then automated meter reading. Actually, I'll go that onto the next slide. Thank you. So emergency water, if it is in prepaid and the client runs out of water, for instance, you can allocate as a municipality to say that if there is a fire, if there is additional, you can decide what the parameter is, that regardless of them being in a prepaid mode, you can allocate 1,000 liters. Okay, so they will never, ever not be without water. You set the parameters of how you want the water meter to work. Spoken about leak and tamper detection. The box that you see, obviously, there's two different boxes, above ground and surface, and the surface box is the one that you have purchased. Thanks. So I've spoken a little bit about prepaid. Prepaid works the same way as your electricity prepaid. It's the same meter that you use. You get a small block, or not block, sorry. You get a small device that's called a CIU. You buy tokens either online or at any vendor. Again, whoever your vendor is, whatever options there are, you buy it, you insert it into this device, and you get your prepaid water. So when that water is up, you have the option of buying additional water. I've spoken to that slide over SMS, internet, where you're able to add a vendor, where you're able to get your token. I think one, frankly, I think just maybe just use your phone. We speak about automated meter reading and wanting to make things easier. There are certain areas that we are aware of that may be dangerous. There's a lot of discussion over estimates of water bills and how do you get the actual readings. So this device, if I can get it in here. So if you have these water meters, which you already have, there's an application that you download on your phone as the municipality. Whoever your water meter readers are, they would open the device, they would plug this in, and all that they would then have to do is either walk by and it automatically picks up what the usage is of the different devices that are employed and that are installed in the area. It will then also pick up whether it's in tamper, it will also pick up whether or what the usage is, tamper, if it is in tamper, and also if it's damaged. So for instance, you export these readings of what the actual usage is, and someone back at the office, they download it onto their computer, and you see, but this resident hasn't used any water. Okay, it's going to tell you either he wasn't at home, and maybe there was no one there, or that there's a possible bypass on the property. So they're getting water maybe that they shouldn't be getting, or they're getting water that they are not paying. Okay, thank you. This is just an example. Sorry, I know that it's really not very clear, but if you can, this is a 24-hour view. So once the meter is installed, once you start using water, every single hour, so this is 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, everyone woke up and they started using water. And I think that's 15 liters of water. 6 o'clock, they were still using water, and it gives you a full 24-hour view. Okay, so you're able to, once you've got the information, analyze some certain patterns in specific areas as well as usage over specific times as well. This is one back. This is just a day review. So here you'll find the date at the bottom. That's just the software. Person used 57 liters. The next day they used 100. Again, good information, data that you can use in terms of what is your actual requirement.
Sorry,
Thank you. I don't know.
are you able to take questions now or do you want to take it at the end?
Nearly done. If you can. Okay. Just approvals. I think this is obviously very important in terms of all the regulatory compliance, NRCS. The meter has all of those. We're able to, and we have already provided you with all of the certificates. So it's not something that's just been stuck together in some kind of random warehouse sold onto you. The meter has been approved. And if we talk about NRCS, the equivalent of SAM, that SAM's approved, those are all the requirements that it doesn't hit. Training and support, I think, Francis, you can attest to this. I mean, we supplied, unfortunately, just for COVID.
Difficult to implement the resolution. Is going to be unimplementable, the resolution internally. So the request is that council must then receive a decision because of the risks that I have stated, that people feel uncomfortable in relation to investigation as related to housing matters. Council to receive that decision and then council resolve to request, because we don't have money that we have put aside for this investigation, to request provincial. I always confuse national and provincial. In the provincial assessment is the Department of Planning, Development and Local Government. So you just have to correct the name at number 3 to mean the provincial government department for local government to do the investigation for us and report back to council. In that way, it's not going to cost any money to council. Thanks.
Thank you, Emma. Councillor Nel, Councillor Botha, Councillor Koloapi.
Speaker, I propose, with recognition of the fact that we should correct recommendation number 3 to read the Ministry of Local Government. I propose that we go with the recommendation of the municipal manager.
Proposed by Councillor Nel with the adjustments of the COCTA, provincial government. Councillor Botha.
I'm not sure why we are looking at rescinding the whole resolution. I mean, if we look at what has been raised, is that it's a disciplinary, that we cannot put together a disciplinary board to look at the Kolweni decanting, which was referred to the disciplinary board. Point 1 should still stand, point 2 should still stand, and point 4 should still stand. That's my opinion. We should just be rescinding point 3. And the way that it reads doesn't read as that, because we're rescinding the whole resolution, and then we're not re-implementing point 1, point 2, and point 3.
If you know, let me take Councillor Koloapi.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. It's the same concern that when we say we are rescinding the whole item, it means it's as if now there was nothing done. And if this council can remember, we were concerned that we've tried to look and interrogate all of these matters, but still can. As an MP, we don't have a right to say our resolution or our recommendation need to be accepted whether we like it or not. But nevertheless, we are here now. But we are saying, can we pinpoint things that we think they need to be rescinded in this item? Because there are things that we still feel that the decision, the resolution that we did, we've put our whole effort into to look at it, so it can be looked at, and we can rescind some of the bullets in there, and also allowing that when the external investigators come. It is of worry to hear that some of the things there, they couldn't be done as an internal investigation because the officials, some felt that they can't touch the other things because of lives and whatever things. It gives me as a chairperson the point of saying seemingly us as MPEC, we are at danger. Somehow people understand that we're at danger of something, of which us as MPEC, we're not even aware. We were taking the fact that we need to work on these things, whether we're in danger or not. Not even a case that comes. So I think somehow, I'm sure it was good that to check the officials so that we can see that there's danger that is there when it comes to MPEC. And this council need to take that into cognizance. So my point, what arose from me out of all this, it was the fact that seemingly there's danger that us as MPEC, that this council need to take into cognizance. And two, we need that to say some of the bullets there, they need not to be rescinded. Only these, the fact that decanting needs to go to disciplinary and it needs a private investigation that can be incorporated to save money. But to think that the internal investigation, we needed to know who's going to do internal investigation.
Let me first give to then Councillor Olivier.
Chair, oversight from my side, the councillor may be correct. I just want to quickly, the minutes in front of us in terms of that resolution number 1 spoke about the internal investigation being conducted on legal. If you remember that, then Councillor Mhlana spoke, and that's why we then had to at number 3 that the colony also must be then investigated. So I think number 1 and number 2 of that needs to be presented because sorry, number 3 needs to be suspended because that has to do with the ticketing of the colony housing. That's number 3. Yeah, that's number 3.
Is it because it's inclusive to the province of ticketing?
Yes. I'll just be with you now, Councillor Nyao. The point for clarity, Councillor?
Sorry, yeah, on the point for clarity, point 1 is referring to, sorry, I'm now going back. Point 1 is referring to all the expenditure that we recommended for write-off, at which I'm quite certain that there was some, the legal, where it was on contract for the 3-year tenders. And I believe that that's what the mayor was questioning about, which as impact we questioned multiple times. We were satisfied, however, the mayor raised it that he wasn't satisfied and he wanted an internal investigation. And that, I believe, was the only thing that he was referring to. So everything was written off, was agreed by council. However, he wanted further clarity on only the legal issues. Then there was point 2 was for recoveries. And even in point 3, there were 2 or 3 matters, I stand corrected, that were referred to the disciplinary board. And so the decanting of the Kolweni 234 non-qualifiers was only one of the issues. And if that is the one issue that the disciplinary board is not willing to sit on, and I understand their concerns and I understand your concern, and I also understand Councillor Mwabu's concerns, then so be it. But there were other issues there that didn't have to do with housing. So I think this needs to be looked at quite carefully to see how we determine what gets rescinded. Because the complaint that's been that you've put forward is that we cannot put a disciplinary board together for the Kolweni issue. And that was only one issue. To my mind, the rest of the stuff must stay.
Okay, Edwin.
Chair, if you does not get it correctly, the other matters stay in relation to the issue of Colin. In the first issue, it reads that an internal investigation be conducted with regard to legal services. There's nobody who said that they're not going to do, so we'll continue with that process in terms of resolution 1. Then resolution 3 spoke about the issue of investigation, unless I understood it correctly. Investigation, and because when you refer to the disciplinary board, there must be an investigation that is then referred to the disciplinary board. That is where the staff internally are uncomfortable because that investigation relates to the issue of decanting and coding, which is related to housing and all of that. So that is the one that we are asking that province must do that and then that report to the disciplinary board with their findings to then continue. So it's not the disciplinary board, but it's the staff that must do the investigation and the information internally in order to provide a report to the disciplinary board. Unless the intention Once for the disciplinary board to do that investigation, then there's no need to rescind the decision. Then you can just go to the disciplinary board.
I stand corrected, and I'm quite certain that there were 2 or 3 issues that were sent were to be going to the disciplinary board. And then Foweni was one of those.
So can I request Chair that we stand off this item? Then I quickly check the recommendations of MPEG in line with this, so that we are on the same page, Because this is a resolution of council as it stands there. That is the one that I'm saying that is difficult to implement, considering that people are unable to do an investigation on the Kolweni project,
Let me just give to the other councillor
Can
Olivier.
I give direction, MM?
Sorry, just a moment. Let me first give to councillor Olivier.
Voice.
Who's on the mic?
It's legal manager.
Councillor Secretary, do you want to listen to what Lavoyo is, or do you want to continue? Mr. Lavoyo, continue.
I just want to give direction in terms of the powers of the disciplinary board. The investigation element is one of the responsibilities that the disciplinary board has. So if the matter is referred to disciplinary board, they investigate the alleged conduct, and then they take action in terms of the outcome that they find on their investigation. So it's one of the responsibilities that the board can do.
Is that it? Thank you, Mr. Loliwe.
They investigate.
I don't know, you wanted to give them.
I wanted to give to Councillor Olivier, Councillor Nyal, and then Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, I now need clarity on what are we actually saying, because now we're having a lot of discussions around this. So I want to understand what are the recommendations now, because the NM has said a few things, council has said a few things, and we just get an understanding of what we actually now going to do with this item.
Councillor Nyal, and then Councillor Kamkam.
Madam Speaker, can we just roll down to the recommendation of the municipal manager again, please? Because I think perhaps we're going too far with this thing.
Yeah.
I think we might just need one to look at.
You want to go first, Councillor Kamkam? Can we go to the recommendations of the municipal manager? Is that what you're asking, Councillor Nyal? It's on
Point three says that we ask council to resolve to refer the matter to the Ministry of Local Government. And that does, that, which we're not necessarily actually saying that we, but we continue.
I can't hear you. Chair, thanks, Chair. Maybe let's go back quickly for the benefit of the MPEG committee members. Start with the resolution of the council that everyone has a picture in terms of that. It's contained here attached. So resolution number 1 said council write off the expenditure outlined in Annexure A with consequence management subject to an internal investigation to be conducted on the legal services expenditure. Okay? So go to Annexure A now. That was attached by MPEG. There is Annexure A. Those are the items that in Annexure A, MPEG recommended to council that they be written off. Are we on the same page there? So those matters are actually resolved through the recommendations of MPEG to council for council to write off, and council has agreed to write off subject to matters that are contained there which are related to legal services. In terms of what the mayor has said and was seconded, I can't remember, Councillor Potaba, that those matters be done an internal investigation. So that's the first one. And then let's go quickly to the resolution number 2, that the municipal manager immediately implement consequence management to recover the expenditure reflected in Annexure B. there's no dispute in terms of this one. I think we're understanding Annex B, so that is Annex B will just institute a disciplinary process of consequence management to recover. Then go to resolution number 3, that the expenditure listed in Annex C, as well as the information which relates to the decanting of Kolweni non-qualifiers, it is a memo circulated as a memo with the agenda. You will see that's a memo that was circulated for you and MPAC explaining all the reasons that were given in terms of how the money was spent and what has happened. Be referred for investigation, stroke, disciplinary board. So this is where I want us to find each other, Chairperson of MPAC and Councillor Porter. Maybe there seems to be a confusion. Now, if you look at that, that is the one that I'm saying. My understanding was that that must be investigated internally. And then I'm saying after then I was trying to set up a team to investigate that. Then I got an indication in terms of issues of safety concern and all of those issues which are raised. And Councillor Kolapi, I'll come, I'll only speak to you and the MPAC members in terms of what has been raised by the officials in relation to your safety. Something that I have to protect and not openly discuss with everyone. So that is the one that I'm saying. Then my understanding is that we so that we refer to provincial government to actually do that investigation and then give the report to the disciplinary board. But equally, if we meant, as Novuyo said, because the disciplinary board may equally do the investigation themselves. So we can just say that the disciplinary board must do that investigation actually itself. You know, the issue is again, in terms of when we said investigation stroke discipline, what did we mean? That's what maybe we have to clarify. You know, when I wrote the item, it was on understanding that it must not cost council any further money now. Provincial government can do the investigation for us without cost to council and give the disciplinary board a report, of which the disciplinary board will then start to look at the report and then deal in terms of the powers and the next process that needs to be done. So that's what the item is. But I hope clarifies the matter now.
Thank you. I think that's clear. Councillor Kolope, let me just give to Mr. Luvuyo, just hold on.
The main function of the disciplinary board is to do investigations. So you will be disabling the disciplinary board if you take the issue of investigation away from them. Then what will be left in their function is to monitor the institution of the disciplinary processes. Because those are the only functions that they have, is to investigate the alleged allegations and to monitor the institution of the disciplinary processes. That's all they do. Thank you.
Chair, let me not get into that situation now. The resolution says investigation stroke disciplinary board. We just have to clarify in terms of that, whether we meant the investigation to be done internally, which is what I understood, and then it's what I'm reporting that the people actually feel uncomfortable in terms of doing that. Whether that matter then can be referred. I don't know if there's anything wrong if province does that investigation without any cause for us, whether we should have any fear if province does. It doesn't matter whether the disciplinary board does it or province does it. When the disciplinary board does it, there's cost implication in terms of them traveling and dealing with all of those issues. So that's what I wanted us to understand in terms of that resolution. When we crafted that resolution, stroke disciplinary board, you know, my understanding was that it must be done by internally. The mayor can maybe speak on this item. So that's why I'm bringing this item. If the intention was very clear that it must be done straight to the disciplinary board, then this item is not actually needed. Thanks.
Councillor Kamkam.
The confusion is the heading that says rescinding of council resolutions, which means point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. So in the first place, the item was not written correctly. That's where the confusion comes in, because if we say rescinding, it means rescinding by council. All 3 of those decisions are no longer valid. And instead we are saying we are accepting now. Can we go to the new resolutions? We are now accepting.
One and two.
And then council takes note of the reasons why it's not implementable. Then listen, all of those decisions, and the only thing we are saying is that we are now resolving to request provincial COPTA to investigate and report back on council on its findings and recommendations. So, Amen. You have stated that the only challenge is the decanting. That one, with all the other items, number one, there's not a problem. Am I correct? Because number two, let me go to the old resolution.
Amended.
I've got it here on my tablet.
Correct, Councillor. Number one and number two are correct.
Number three is the only resolution that needs to be amended.
If we rescind in number three, it's the only one that we actually then be rescinding. Then it will say that council resolution number only number three.
Thank you.
But only if that intention was to do the investigation internally.
On the old resolutions?
The council one.
Yes. Yes. It says that the expenditures listed in Annex C, it's no separate net, as well as the information which relates to the decanting of the 234 non-qualifiers circulated as a memo with the agenda be referred for investigation, stroke disciplinary board. So the last part of point number 3, in actual fact, if we go to the new item, point number 1 is supposed to be the same, resolution number 1 is supposed to be the same, resolution number 2 is supposed to be the same, and we're just supposed to change the last part of resolution number 3.
Correct.
That's the only amendment that is needed, just the last sentence. If I read it correctly, I was not in that meeting, but if I read the item, that's what I see. And that's what I would propose. And let me change the heading of the item.
You want the one for point of clarity, Councillor? Call up, please.
Even in bullet number 1, you will find that still as we unpack, we've got questions about it. How is it going to be done internally? Because once I was about to write a report for APEC, where we have to account the work of APEC, what we have done, it's when it dawns to us that the resolution, the proposal that was done, that besides these legal items that needs to be investigated, as per the mayor, that was not happy with the items that were right off. There was no specific directive that internally who's gonna do it, this investigation, so that we are to a point I even asked to that I understand that the resolution was saying that since the EE Council was not happy with all the write-offs from Annex A, who's gonna do the investigation, the internal investigation? It's when then it came to dawn that even so, people are not willing to do this, and it's gonna cost us if we get into internal and whatever. That's why we're here now. We want even a very specific clarification, even at point 1. If we say that there's an internal investigation, who's gonna do it? When it's gonna done? How is it gonna cost and whatever? So that even in those items, we need to have clarity. We need to have it. Let's go to 3. Even in 3, we did list all the things that were supposed to go to disciplinary, security things, and also the decanting and all those things that were under unauthorized items. We list them as we unpack those things. But it's fine. OMM then said, because it's gonna cost, so rather really it goes to COPTA. I do concur with the Councillor Jessica that the term rescinding was too heavy for all these things. It's more like, let's look and declare more how the internal processes are going to be taken place. Thirdly, which ones that they go strictly to COGTA, and also they supersede the disciplinary board of this council. They go straight to COGTA while dealing with section 106, so to say. So this is the case that we want exactly to know. How do we deal with those things? Not rescinding.
I will allow MM, then we need to.
On the first one, Councillor Nosi, the resolution says that in the investigation be done on the legal services. So I don't want to assume that's what we have to correct. That investigation, I think we must take, instead of saying we received bulletin point number 1, and then we put a new resolution which says that be conducted on legal services by a disciplinary board, if that's what we are saying, then it's specific in terms of what is that. I can capture that in terms of that one and put it for us in the board and see we're reading it correctly. Yes. Okay, so that council rescind resolution. Now where you were now? Sorry, just give you 2 minutes. All right. Then we are specific in terms of resolution 1, in terms of who must do that investigation. So it's right, we'll do that investigation. Then we go to resolution 3, where we say we rescind a resolution. For Councillor Michelle.
Okay. Just hold on. Want a point of clarity or?
I just want to clarify.
Okay. Just for a point of clarity, that's it.
Secretary, thank you, Chair. Thank you, MM. Just to clarify as point of impact, those first 3 issues, 2 listed in annexure and then all the information pertaining to the decanting, we refer them to the disciplinary. So I can see where nuances, where it's disciplinary or flat investigation, but the intention was to always refer them to the disciplinary board themselves to do the investigation. That's just to clarify that.
MM, then Councillor Nyao.
Okay, so let's deal with the first one in terms of that internal. I'll come to that, Councillor Porter, now because we've got the recommendation. So we're dealing with recommendations of MPEP, which council made another recommendation approval from that. That's what we have to take into account, because council did not accept as it is the recommendations of MPEP. Hence, we're reading from the council item. But the matter is not so complicated. We can resolve it so that council resolution, receive resolution 1 and 3 time. You should read 1 and 3, and then on resolution 1. Let me say that on resolution 1 that the matters of legal services will refer to the disciplinary board for investigation, because that is a resolution of council.
Is that what the mayor wanted?
So go back on the resolution, just check Councillor Porter. No, just on this one. Yeah. It says that the internal investigation be conducted on the legal services expenditure. So you can annex A with all the things that you are actually writing off. But further to that, write off. You then asking for only specifically on the legal services matter to still do a further investigation. This is the recommendation of council.
Yes.
What degree that investigation was done, I don't know. I cannot recall that from council. It was, the disciplinary board wasn't mentioned.
But that's what we're trying to clarify now, because I'm saying when I went back.
Can we have a look at the mayor's message?
No, the last sentence, it says, so item 3 in the resolution is rescinded and replaced with a new recommendation. It's all this last check.
But we don't have to complicate it. If item number 1 the intention of the MPEG is that it must be done. The disciplinary board is an internal investigation, you know. So I didn't touch on that item. I didn't say that item must be, rescinded, because it's as well as taking those matters of legal and refer them to the disciplinary board, not another investigation. So that's what we have to clarify, that those matters of legal services be referred to the disciplinary board, which will do that investigation and report. As what MPEG actually referred to. The item that I'm talking about, which is number 3, is the one that I was under the impression that the investigation must be done also internally, which I was trying to set up a team to do that, and that team then indicated of concern of all of that. That's the one that we have to rectify, as Councillor Polak said, if that needs to go to the disciplinary board, then we just change that bulletin number 4, that the decanting of colony and all of that expenditure, as in terms of that memo, be referred to the disciplinary board for investigation. That's all that we have to do, or we don't refer it to COPTA. I was under the impression that there must be an internal first investigation and then a report be given on that. So that's the only thing that needs to be rectified.
Councillor Nyao?
Speaker, there is a lot of argument and all of our semantics. The thing is, where we are correct, council is specific here. There was a resolution part. So we are rescinding, and I think that is where we have rescind only. I think we should defer this item back to the administration and bring it back. To give us the opportunity to fix the wording.
That's awesome. There's a proposal that refer back or we amend as resolution 3.
I think we've exhausted so much in the item already that we kind of get the direction in terms of what amendments needs to be made with regards to the bullet 1 and bullet 3. So now setting it back for it to be done right. I mean, we've done the job already.
There's a shorter way to do this then, and that is let us take a break for 10 minutes and fix the wording and come back so that we comply to all the legal requirements. Because we are messing around here with a position where we are actually going to sufficient.
The heading. I'm granting you 10 minutes. No, wait.
Could it not be minimized to what this old man just said? Because point is, we've exhausted 45 minutes in this item, and now there's a sense of direction, which being we're not rescinding the entire item. However, we need to fine tune point 1 and point 3, and the team at the back has done that already. So I'm not sure why now must we actually jump to whatever the council is saying. I mean, we're clear already. I think everyone gets here that what was actually misrepresented here was that the item was rescinded as is. The idea is to actually rescind to fine tune point 1 and 3.
Thank you, Councillor.
Does not require us to actually take a break.
Anlaba, Speaker. Councillor, I would allow you 1 more.
Speaker, I don't know whether wrong or what. There was an item. It comes back to council. There was an item that we agreed upon as council. Now that item is coming back. It says the item that the council must rescind that item. Can you call what is the item number?
C164
622.
06, yeah. Now we've got another item for rescindment. That is item 3/1/71/07 and stroke 22. Now, as council, when it comes to rescindment, as council, we must take a decision. A majority must rescind an item based on valid reason. Then if then the executive summary that is written here make us all understand and say we are then going to rescind this item, we can do so. If then the majority of councillors are saying no, then we're going to leave it as it is. Because we want to rescind a whole item. We can't take an item of the last council meeting and bring it here and again want to take bits and pieces out and put others in. Rather, rescind the whole item, or we say we don't rescind the item. Finish and clear. If then is that so, let's take the rules of order on how to rescind an item, because this item has came to another council meeting. That item was approved in another council meeting.
Thank you, Council. I will grant you 10 minutes, then we will come back again. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes' time. front of us. Do we all agree?
Zero in front of us.
But something that must be brought up.
Please read what is in front of us. Has been resolved. Can we go with it?
What's Bill Neil saying?
What you saying, Beanie?
What's Kalabota?
Saying,
Yes, that's correct.
It's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So with Councillor Nyao, you propose that?
Proposed with the amendment as reflected on the
So
board.
Councillor Botha seconded. Thank you, Councillor Botha. We move on to the next section.
Next.
Finance.
It is section 2, finance. First item, it's item C, stroke 2, stroke 57, stroke 06, stroke 22. The report on the implementation of the supply chain management policy for the fourth quarter, 1st of April to 30th of June. The item is on page 117 to 160. The item is now serving. The recommendations is on screen. Is that the correct? Can we go with the recommendations? Councillor Kamkam?
Speaker proposed that we go with the recommendations. I don't know if anyone needs clarity on point on recommendation number 3. But the reason why that recommendation was added, because in previous financial years, there was a query regarding sales. So we don't know if that matter that was investigated has been resolved. That's why point number 3 was recommended. So I propose that we go with the recommendations by the Executive Mayor.
Councillor Botha, see your hand is up.
Yeah, just asking, I've made a note and I think it's the date, February. It says 7th of November. I believe it should probably say 11th of July. So I think the date is just putting through incorrectly. So if that can be looked at. And then
Thank you, Councillor Botha. Seconded by Councillor Botha. Move on to the next item, item C, 2, stroke 58, stroke 07, stroke 22. The environment report for the quarter ending 30th of June 2022. You would find the item on page 161 to 164. The item is now serving. Emil?
Just a correction on the attachment annexure. The last page, you will notice there that it's saying 106 taken to higher charges. 106, I can't see the understand, but it's 106 and something taken to higher charges. And on the other side, you also see 106. So if you add the debits and the credits in accounting, does not add up. So it's an error. It's supposed to be in total 216,013 that was taken to higher charges to accommodate for the invoices for the storage of the solar diesel. That was the reasons for that fireman because we have to pay. So the total will then add up on the debit and the credit to 216,013. So I just wanted to make that correction. Thanks.
Thank you, Emil. Councillor Kamkam?
With the corrections, because there was a query from
Yourself.
my side, yeah, doesn't balance, and also fiscalization, what the higher charges was for. So with the amendments, I propose that we go with the recommendations.
There's a proposal by Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Olivier?
I second that.
Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Third item. It is item C, stroke 2, stroke 59, stroke 07, stroke 22. The report on unauthorized expenditure 2021-2022, page 165 to 168. Can we, the item is serving, the recommendations is in front of us. Councillor Kamka?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would recommend that we go with the recommendations by the Executive Mayor. I just remembered something now, which relates to the previous item as well. This item, as well as the previous item, did not serve in the Finance Committee. So I was just want to bring it to the attention of the administration and municipal manager. These items, it hasn't served. I didn't go through the portfolios, but yeah. So I recommend that we go with the recommendations. Can we just note it and make sure that we submit items to the Section 80 committees?
Councillor Botha?
I concur with Councillor Kamkam, and then also again, just on the data discovery here, I don't know if 7 of November 22 must be July, 11th of July 22, and then I'll second it.
You got that one from Councillor Botha? Thank you. Seconded, then we, in raised by Councillor Botha, we will move. Next item. Item C, stroke 2, stroke 60, stroke 07, stroke 22. Cost containment report for the quarter ending 30 June 2022. You would find the item on page 169 to page 171. The item is serving. Can we go with the recommendations? Councillor Botha, then Councillor Kamkam.
I'm just not sure how these numbers add up. If you're looking at the budget, then you look at what was done in the actual, and then you look at the savings. They don't. I'm assuming it should be a landscape table, and the numbers don't add up at all, or deduct themselves nicely. So I don't know if we need to see these numbers again. Because I don't believe it's coming into a picture. Because if you look at the use of consultants, the budget is 24 million. Quarter 4 actuals is 9 million. And then our savings, if you scroll down to the next page, is 23 million. So that's not possible.
Yeah, they don't add up at all. Are we looking? Page 17. Hoping to the first one. Let's go back on 170. That table says budget. Budget 2021-22 actuals. Quarter 4 only. Meaning it's speaking to April, May, and June only. Go to the next page in Annex B. Annex B speaks to the total, just for the commitments in year report. So that's a total for the rest of the year, the savings for the rest of the year.
It confuses even.
It's very.
When we deal with quarter 4 and again with the total of the year. For instance, if you look the same.
This report is.
Councillor, your mic. Otherwise, Councillor, I won't recognize if you. Yes, you must switch on your mic. Thank you. Continue.
This table looks like it should be in an elongated landscape.
Landscape.
It's in reflecting in the first column, 24 million. For example, just the use of consultants. Then quarter 4 actual, which is 9 million, which is fine if it's only used in that quarter, but then there cannot be a saving of 23 million. Do you understand where I'm coming from? If the budget is 24 and we've already used 9 million in quarter 4, how can we have a saving of 23?
So let me look at this report in terms of the issue of the landscape, because I think we are referring to a quarter as well as the savings of the full year in terms of the reporting. I'll just request the department to put this in terms of one landscape. If I'm getting Councillor Maklawa is what you're saying,
Yeah, and is the budget then annual? The budget is quarterly on the top one.
On the 106, on the top one is quarterly only, So on the second one, you will see the total budget, it's was 106. I think it was 106 for the consultant for the rest of the full year on that one. But I take note, I'll correct the report to make it sense.
Councillor Kamkam?
Are we referring it back or gonna make corrections? Because the table is also not nicely, the reporting is not, it's not in a way that it's logical, in a logical manner for you to understand with even the tables, whether you refer to the year, whether you refer to the quarter. So what I'm saying, are we going to refer this item back? Because you're saying you're going to correct. So if it needs to be corrected, if the table needs to be corrected, we cannot make a decision on it.
Okay. Because there's a comment by the mayor, council is not making a decision on this item, is noting it. So I can just in the next meeting provide clarity in terms of the table. That does not make sense because we're not saying that it's incorrect also. The table is supposed to be all together to give and the rest of the year. So that can be given clarity once that table is made to, what is the word that we're using? Councillor Porter Maklama?
That's good.
Yeah. But there's a comment by the mayor.
Executive Mayor?
In writing.
Say the first quarter four is for the quarter only and the second quarter for actuals. It's
Refer to the-
for the whole year.
Yeah,
quarter one,
that's what I'm
quarter
trying to
two.
say. But still, the issue of the landscape, I think, is what's creating the confusion. So I'll correct that in the next date.
We haven't had a proposal yet, eh? Sorry, Speaker. I'm just following the example of everyone else.
The item is still serving.
Can I then propose that we go with the recommendations with the amendment by the that we look at the style of reporting, the landscape.
Proposer?
Yeah.
Councillor Botha? Seconded by Councillor Botha. Thank you. We move to the next item. The item C, stroke 2, stroke 61, stroke 06, stroke 22, section 71 report for the month of June 2022. You'd find the item on page 172 to page 273. The item is serving. Can we go with the recommendations?
Because just for council to note, these are not final figures for June because you still have the creditors which are being paid and processed now. So this will then be amended and changed in line with the financial statements. But in terms of the reporting framework, we have to report 10 days after the end of the month.
Thanks, Councillor Kamka?
The reconciliation and sure. Thank you, Speaker. Once again, this item also did not serve on the portfolio committee. I propose that we take note of the section 71 report.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Let we go. Councillor Nell?
I'll second, Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Nell. Item there. Last item under section 2, it's item C. Stroke 2, stroke 62, stroke 07, stroke 22. The section 52 report for the month of June 2022. Item starts on page 274 to 377. Item is now serving. Can we go with the recommendations? Councillor Tsabai?
Speaker, on this item, I've picked up on refuse service. That we still have a problem, and it's very difficult. I don't know how to solve it, but we do have learned officials who must assist council. Because what I've read here is that there is divisions within the municipality in terms of addressing the issues. I don't know whether it's management and also the refuse revenue that should translate to a performance of 28%. we are not doing very well. The problem is that with the expenditure is only on overtime. We're not collecting the money that we are supposed to, but we pay more on overtime. Now, we picked up in the past, Speaker, I don't know how a refuse removal is built. You go to, I'm going to leave household. You go to business. There are so many drums of waste there. And we take all that. Even if it's huge, we should add more in terms of charging. I think that is not being done. And also to households. People tend to abuse the municipality and put everything and pay less. Whereas, because the yardstick is that you'll find our workers doing like, because waste is too much, and yet we're not getting what we're supposed to get in terms of billing. So I looked at that figure and it really needs to be corrected. I'm happy that water services, what happened here in the morning, that we will be able to get what is due to us. Because some of the households also are robbing us off because we are underperforming also on water services. These items, Speaker, are very important for council. We must scrutinize them at all costs because they are the ones that are telling us, are we moving forward or backwards in terms? Because if then we are a municipality that is not collecting revenue, we are underperforming, we'll then be in trouble in terms of collecting rates. So I wanted to put those things. And another one, it has been a headache for years that the fines, the revenue from fines, official will say, no, we'll get, for instance, around about 300 million, but you'll find out that people go to court and instead of paying that fine of 700 rands, he or she gets to pay 200. So I think also we are losing revenue on that. I don't know our speed cameras. Our speed cameras are, yes, I'm seeing them on the road. But I don't know whether strategically they are not put on the right positions, because it's where we can get revenue. For that matter, in the past, used to be the one that gives us more money. I think also that department must put more emphasis on traffic and speed traps because they give us more revenue. We were a town that was very scary. People scared if the Plettenberg Bay Knives are moving forward about speed cameras, that you will be arrested on that side. And it was one of the towns that was assisting on revenue. So I wanted to put those emphasis, because thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Chavai. Councillor Botha.
So again, just on the one issue that I Next up, where it refers to performance bonus for senior managers. You just look at that because it looks, given what we had discussed in previous meetings, it does look a bit high. I'm not sure if that figure is correct. Let's just look into that.
Thanks, Speaker. Councillor Kabai is correct with regards to the refuse removal revenue. There are a number of reasons which we would report specifically in terms of those reasons in a separate item. Councillor Kabai does not come as part of Section 71. One of them interacted with the department and asked them, how many times are we picking up refuse on businesses? Mr. Sakati, I understand. How many times in a week? 2 times. 2 times, and sometimes in the season to 2 times. Yes. But you see, the problem, our system is not geared to actually bill for the 2 times. The policy says that we bill, and the second collection which we do, we're supposed to bill, but that's one part. But the biggest problem, Councillor Tapai, on this matter is the cost reflective tariff. There's no study that was done in terms of the cost reflective tariff. So on refuse removal, we add, last year the tariff was 100 rand. Next year we add 6%. The following year add 6%. So we don't cost study because indicate to you how much does it cost you to provide this service. And then you determine then what is the tariff that you're supposed to charge to cover the cost of providing these services. So I've engaged with the engineering department because I thought we could do it on their panel of engineers. Because, so we'll be engaging on that process.
Yes.
I intend to apply to profits because I don't really want to finance that. If they cannot finance it, then we'll try to find it in our own funding. On the traffic fines, I am led to believe for the situation here of Bitou, Mr. Sakati can add, but my experience also with other municipalities, Councillor Nosutu's report, it will protect me.
Councillors, yes, it's a Women's Day today. The Women's Month is coming in August. When I have your moments, can we have the MM finishing, please?
Councillor, the problem started with the lockdown. And they were not able to actually do the process. And we were amongst the municipalities up until 2019. By 2019, that were performing very high in terms of revenue. There is a GREP accounting standard that has been issued to budget for the full fine that you actually issue, but then you also budget under expenditure for what you call traffic fine impairment. Because if you find 1,000 and then you go to the court and say, I was rushing, my wife was pregnant, and this was the situation, the court understand the story and say pay 600, So we do make that impairment under debt impairment on the expenditure for that amount that we may not actually after answered Councillor Bota, maybe ask Mr. Sakati to tell us how far are we in terms of the cameras and process of getting the full service provider the way that we used to do it to be in place. Councillor Bota, we budget for senior managers bonuses when the budget is done. So the budget was approved last year, May. At that time, you would not know more or less what each director will score. So then you actually look at the past and previously, and then averagely say it's between 5 and 14%. Then you budget on average 9%. So one director might be 6 or 5%, one might be 11, but you are still covered in terms of the total. So it's just the high because of the budget, but it's not the amount that is going to be paid because the assessment is unfortunately done at a later stage. Yeah.
Councillor Bota?
Into that.
Okay, I'll have a look at that then in terms of what other bonuses that does.
Thank you. The item is so, Mr. Sakati?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, previously, we have authority to do speed enforcement in the entire Bitou area. And the approval was on the fixed sites. The fixed sites means those poles that are standing on the road, the big box. And what happened was were vandalized. So now we had the new mobile boxes. We did place them in the inroads like the Oldland, Longship, but that was revoked because we didn't have a permission for the mobile speed enforcement boxes. We only had the permission for the fixed sites. But on the 22nd of June, SEMCO was sitting on our applications. We've identified a lot of sites where we want to put out cameras. So we are waiting for the outcomes of that. Currently, we can only use the mobiles on the N2. And if we use the ICANN, we should have a traffic officer. And currently, we cannot afford that. We don't have that much of traffic officers to sit in the cameras. The two cameras that are on the N2, we're already using a law enforcement officer, and the other one we're using a traffic officer. And then we've got a fixed site in Rowback that is operating. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Sakati.
And then on the
ZP cameras now, people are gonna know.
no, we're changing them. Yes, yes. And Councillor Fabai, last week we had a meeting with the magistrate that is in charge for this area. We had an agreement that before they withdraw your case in court, or before that they reduce the fine, they must consult with us. That was the agreement with them, so they have to give the instruction to these juniors. Currently, yesterday we were serving the specs for the new part on the specs for the new tender that will be going out soon. And on that one, we are planning to make sure that we are fully operational. Thanks, Mr.
Mr. Sakati, I think there's a question from the mayor.
Correct.
There's a question from the mayor. What about trapping on Airport Road?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's one of the sites that we requested SEMCO, the body that is regulating the speed enforcement. We requested them to give us permission to do the speed also.
Thanks, Mr. Sakati. The item is still serving.
Yeah.
I
go with the recommendation.
There's a proposal by Councillor Kapai that we go with the recommendations. Councillor Mangaba.
Seconded, Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Mangaba. We move to the section 3. Corporate service. First item, it's item C, stroke 3, stroke 48, stroke 07, stroke 22. Employment equity profile of Bitou Municipality per Directorate as at 30th of June 2022. You would find the item on page 379 to 386. The recommendations is in front of us. The item is serving. Councillor Mangaba.
I suggest we take note of the content, Speaker.
Also by Councillor Mangaba that we take note of the content. Councillor Nell.
I'll second, Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Nell. Section 4. Item C, stroke 4, stroke 15, stroke 07, stroke 22. Human settlement funding applications. You would find the item on page 388 and page 392. Item is now serving. Acting Mayor?
Speaker, Speaker, I will recommend that we go with the recommendations of the municipal manager, the engineering services portfolio committee, and the executive mayor to approve funding, especially when the funding will be of good cause in helping us in helping our communities on the replacement of the asbestos roofs, the detached toilets in Guanoktola, Kuland, and New Horizons, and the houses without toilets and construction of toilets in informed settlements, the structural defects in previously built houses, reconstruction of houses destroyed by fires, and emergency structures that were damaged or destroyed by disasters. On that note, Speaker, I go with the recommendations as the funding are of good cause.
Thank you, Acting Executive Mayor. Councillor Sethi? And
Thank you very much, Speaker, for the opportunity. I was going to say exactly what the executive mayor saying there, but one more thing is the houses that are having cracks in Konoktola, I think the funding could assist in those houses to be best maintained. And then also, yes, I think she touched on those houses that were burned. I'd love to say in front of this council that it is sad for me to see a 75-year-old man crying because his house was burned a long time ago, and then he's staying in a Chotombe now. So I would love if this funding could assist. Thank you very much.
thank you, Councillor Sethi. Councillor Tsapai?
Thank you, Speaker. I believe that this is the wish list of council. It's what we hope for. Now, the question will be, we will be doing or writing an application, filling in an application or applying. Where are we applying? Secondly, Speaker, there is this issue of not shacks, houses that are getting burned. People tend to take that and say, municipality, this is your responsibility. Is the municipality having insurance when a house is burned down to reconstruct that particular house again? Or do we have funding for such? So I think, Speaker, these are the things that must be known first by council before they go out there.
Thank you, Councillor Kabai. Amen.
Thanks, Chairperson. We will be applying to the Provincial Department of Human Settlement. The name has changed now. I've not kept up, but it's infrastructure also included in that portfolio. We'll further also be applying to the National Minister of Human Settlement. In fact, we are already engaging the National Minister of Human Settlement for equally, at also other private institutions, the National Lottery, specifically in terms of the rectification. Was the problem with the rectification is old houses that were built 94, 97, which were not built up to standard, and some of them have already been transferred to those people, so that it does not become the responsibility of the municipality, but as a federal government, then we'll try and see if we can get funding for also from the national lottery. The last application would actually send to the gift of the givers for them in terms of their project to identify themselves, because we know how they operate, which of these houses which will submit all to them that they can be able to go and assist, specifically in relation to what Councillor said about the 75-year-old. We can look at those those situations. So that's why we currently applying. The issue of insurance, the houses become insured by the municipality while they are not transferred. It depends. The house has been transferred, and who becomes responsible. If it's been transferred, it's a private property. So I'll have to look at how the insurance policy is drafted. Because in the middle of the insurance policy, it always sometimes makes provision who has control of the asset. And the warrant is not in the meeting now. In this case, the person that has total control of the asset is actually the person in the house. So there might be those exclusions, but I'll just double check on the insurance policy. Report back to council in terms of what is fully covered in terms of that.
Councillor Manlaba?
Thank you, Speaker. Now with all the explanation that the MM has just taken us through, I am comfortable to actually my issue was my fear was if we now let this application rest just on province, we don't want to stick with the situation where this is prioritized more than actually funding for development and building that we actually expect from them. Now, given the fact that now you've mentioned that there's other means of funding that they would actually seek for to ensure that this is attended to, and this speaks to giving our people the dignity they deserve. So I'm actually comfortable to go with the recommendations, and I would urge MM that once you get a hold of that insurance, ensure that a workshop is done with us as well, because we are the ones who are actually dealing with these disasters when they happen. And at times you get there and you feel you're not well equipped to actually give guidance in terms of what should transpire going forward. So I second the recommendations by the Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Manlaba. Proposed by Acting Executive Mayor, seconded by Councillor Manlaba.
She didn't second. She said she concurred.
Yeah.
She said she was going to say the same.
So it was that was.
So it's in that order.
And there was second.
You didn't say it's a question.
I see
You said it.
Thank you, councillors.
Okay.
Item C, stroke 4, stroke 16, stroke 07, stroke 22, which deals with the approval of the temporary emergency housing policy on page 393 to page 416. The recommendations is on screen. The item is serving. Councillor Olivier? Councillor Olivier proposed that we go with the recommendations.
Speaker.
Councillor Tsabai?
Speaker, I'm seeing on this item, I'm seeing on this item that there is an application form attached. And Speaker, this application form includes councillors. Speaker, I'm skeptical that councillors are then going to be included in forms of approval and rejection. Let me unpack it. Indigent form. Councillors were signing, rejecting, or not approving indigent forms, where we see that you are not eligible to be indigent. It became a wildfire in our community. You know, when they come and sought clarity from the officials, why am I not approved? They will say, no, your councillor didn't approve it. I'm very skeptical now. It becomes an application of a very serious nature now. When somebody, his shoulders bend down or whatever, now you sign and say, I reject this person because this person is working somewhere, to make an example, or just like you, your check bends down and we reject, because we'll say you are a speaker of council, then therefore you are not supposed to get material. So it's those things that I think we will be putting our councillors on the spotlight. And also, we want them to be there, whereas councillors must be people who are overseers of what is being done by officials. That is only our role, not to be involved, because now you are involving councillors. Again, what is going to happen is that now the councillor is pick and choosing who to give material. We are political parties here. There's a lot of blame game that will go on. I'm just putting it to the table. Thank you very much.
Let me quickly attend to speak first, Councillor Nel.
Just make a comment. There is a recommendation under point 3, which found its way into this policy document, and it doesn't belong there. It was a passing comment that I made on the Green Valley housing issue, and it does not belong with this policy document recommendation. It's a passing comment which was captured under this policy document item, but it actually didn't belong there. It's just a passing comment made.
So you're saying that must come out?
See my point of view.
Come out.
The emergency for Green Valley.
Yeah, item number 3.
Councillor Nel suggests that we remove. You got that? Thank you. Councillor Olivier, I think you wanted to raise a point of clarity.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what section, what page is that Councillor Gabai was speaking to, because I couldn't find it.
412.
412. Thank you.
This is where it is page 416, where supported by a ward count.
Thank you.
Then you put your name, you put your word, you sign, and it says supported, not supported, you put a date. So that's where I was answering upon that. Really now, it must be decided by council. If what councillor wants to be on the spotlight, that I'm giving out material and I'm rejecting one of my community members, it's fine. But I was bringing out that sometimes it tends to be very sour for councillors, as if they are picking and choosing. Our community were different political parties, then it will go as such. I don't want councillors to be blamed for nothing.
Councillor, I will be with you now, Councillor Kamkap.
I get the point of Councillor Guy. In actual fact, this form is a familiar form. I remember this form because when the emergency units were issued, the ones that's under investigation now, we actually had to sign this beneficiary form. Councillor Olivier, I don't know if you did the same for you. So it's basically the same form. So what councillor is now asking, are we comfortable as ward councillors to actually then be the ones it's like we are approving or supporting it? And if, for instance, we say we are not supporting it, there's a risk that the information might get out and councillors might then be victimized. I think that is the concern of Councillor Kabai, which in actual fact is the same thing with the indigent forms. It's the same thing. We also get sometimes blamed for that process, but we have decided in terms of the indigent applications, I think we're doing the normal. We're just doing the verification. We are not doing the approval. So maybe if a verification is just to say this person is staying in the boundary of the ward, and that you can actually attest that this person is within your ward. That's different from you are supporting it or not supporting it. So maybe we can then look at that, just verification by ward council instead of saying supported by ward council.
Can I? Councillor Botha, then MM?
I think just one different aspect from this is that this is emergency housing, a very term of emergency. And I think we should go for as less signatures as possible, but still obviously making sure that it's being done properly. Trying to get a councillor to sign off on it who might be busy with the emergency on that side and not being here with this emergency might delay it. I mean, used to say it, but just requiring signatures just because, rather than having necessary signatures down there, probably isn't needed. And hearing it also from a different side, maybe it's not practical.
Councillor Olafia, then.
Speaker, I want to support what Councillor Kamkam was saying. If we change the wording to verifying, because you can have a challenge where you go into emergency housing situation and maybe someone applying for an emergency space not in your ward. I've had those situations, so I know what I'm talking about. Then people come from another place, they're getting an emergency house, so verifying that there is a resident of that ward would work for me as well. So maybe we should just change the wording.
Amen.
Chairperson, thanks. I think I get a sense of the risk that is there in terms of what Councillor Tapa is raising for councillors. The intention was to actually for councillors to their involvement to use maybe appropriately the correct word, not to support, to verify. There is part of the problem we're dealing with, something happened, it's emergency. We arrive, when we arrive, we have to provide the emergency kit. We learn that this check, the owner has got an RDP house, was allocated last year an RDP house, is renting this check, and this is where we are trying in terms of this policy to manage the situation. Do we then still provide material for that, for the person who is supposed to have actually demolished the check when receiving the RTP house? The other one, which is more prevalent in Kolweni, incident happened, we arrive, we must provide the material, is an undocumented Zimbabwean, Malawian. Now, do we provide, so that's why, but these are not, social issues are not so straightforward issues. It's an undocumented Malawian, but that person at that point in time has got all his things and belongings bent down and there's nothing. So this is what we're trying to look at and addressing going forward. So maybe we must just say verified by the White Councillor, or we take the White Councillors totally out in terms of the risk and we put that to the director of the department that to actually verify that. But it's best, we thought in terms of practice, that councillors also verified the information because they work close with the community and with their ward committee. So it's a decision of council that can take, but it must not be supported. Perhaps it must be verified. Then the approval in any case, even if supported with the councillor, is with the application in terms of that. Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you, Amen. Councillor Tapai.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, there is this wording that almost is given to councillor that we play oversight. Administration must do the job. If then administration is not doing the job, what do we do? It's consequent management. It's stipulated. If you are not doing your job as an administrator or an official, it's consequence management. Now, you will find out that councillors are dragged into work that is supposed to be done by officials. And councillors do get reports. If then an area has been bent down, there will be a report that is going to come to council. Done this and that and that. And it's when then the councillors, because councillors, by playing their oversight role, their councillors, they will be told if something is wrong. And then they start playing their oversight role. But if then they want to do everything, it's fine.
No, I should rather thank Councillor Kapai because he has actually helped with the matter. Because what we're intending is for the councillor to play an oversight role in that provision of the material so that we don't provide material to a foreigner who's undocumented. That's an oversight role which the councillor is paying at that specific. So the oversight role does not need to be in the report in council here. Because when we provide that information with the staff, we might not know, we might not be aware in terms, the staff might not be aware how long this person has stayed here, whether this person, so the councillor working with the ward committee might have better information. So it's actually to play that role. But look, it's for council to decide if you, want and the wording that we can actually use. But we wanted to manage this provision of this, so that council will play that oversight role in understanding that, we continuously provide material for somebody who has received an RDP house years ago, but is renting. And that oversight role gives that councillor more information to understand that this person has declared indigency in our system, but is actually renting the shack and is actually not declaring that income. So you have a broader understanding in terms of the value chain of this specific incident. But it's for council. It's for us. It's really not a big issue, But the form has been there. It's similar to the indigent form. Has been there for councillors to also sign that, but they are not approving. It's not saying approving. It's saying you support that this family be provided. Or you verified it. Thanks.
Councillor Kamka.
Speaker, I would propose that we go with the recommendations, but I would be more comfortable with verification.
Verified by what council?
Just instead of support, it gives it a different wording to verify, because verify actually will mean oversight. And it's quite important that we do have that function also from previous experience.
Will you then need to change also the way it says supported or not supported?
Yes, just verify. Yes,
listen,
verify.
the part where it's the heading says it's going to say verified by ward councillor. Now further down it says supported or not supported.
It must be taken out.
That's what I was wanting to know. Would you then remove that part?
Thank you.
But if
Question?
Councillor Koloapi.
Up in my hand, waiting for you actually gave 3 other people to speak, and I've been watching you.
Councillor Koloapi, continue, put on your mic.
Thank you. I think I must add that it was very crucial what Councillor Kapai brought from experience. By the time we're talking these things from the committee level, most of us, we are PRs, and Councillor Mhlana by then, for him, I think it didn't get these experiences as Councillor Kamkam and Councillor Kapai has already found. And for him, he was even more comfortable to ensure that e-verification it needs to be done. And if you can remember, we were at the ward at some stage where we were complaining that the material was given to people that are not even supposed to get. And that alone, they've got a tendency of not separating between the officials, the administration, and the role of the councillor and the role of the administration. It also comes out there, whether you verify, there is a point to say, I support this person being given, or I'm not supporting. I understand that there's a risk involved because we've got lot of political parties now in the community who are fighting about who's doing what for who, fighting ways of fighting about those things or putting any organization in dispute. But still, you will go and verify it. What if you come there, you verify and you find that it is a person from Africa who's sitting there or somebody who was not supposed to get it? Would you still after verification not say I'm supporting or I'm not supporting? So somehow, e-verification will make somebody to be confident enough to say, I'm not supporting this person to be given material because firstly, this person was given a house before, but now he's not staying in that house. Or this person has used his name to access the material in order to give the African people. Somehow we need just to deal with the truth of the matters of the community. So for me, I would say, let's erase supported by what we just say verified. In the case of supported and not supported, you scratch. Let's not scratch that thing out. Because ultimately, after you're verified, you need to support whether this person to be given or not.
Thank you, Councillor Botha, then Councillor Van Lava.
Okay, page 415. Requires a.
Verification done by housing officer and.
Stop. Okay. Are you talking about?
Supported by what council? But yes.
So instead of support, we say verified.
I'm verifying by the. So they didn't ask her.
I thank you. Councillor Mangaba,
Why are they verifying?
standing off. Thank you. I take it that we're going to change it to verified instead of support. It was then support. Councillor Kolopi, did you support?
I'm saying on the heading.
It must be verified.
I say verified, but below next signature supported, it must remain because the councillor has to make a determination. This is a foreigner saying here now who's undocumented in South Africa is illegal. I support that we spend municipal funds on this person. This is a person that has received an RDP house but is renting this property. I support, so that's what the council says. Eventually they have.
Eventually we need to have that decision. And which is, Councillor Kamkam is not happy with that. I'm sorry, Jess.
Sorry, Speaker, but I've made a proposal that supported be changed to verification in all instances and supported and not supported be taken out.
So there's a counter proposal.
Yes.
Councillor Olivier, I will attend to that now.
Speaker, it's a simple matter. If you look at verifications done by the housing officer, these comments. It can be done the same way, verification and then verification done by the ward councillor or the comment, you can change that. So the ward councillor has a space to put their comment.
Okay.
So I don't know why the housing officers are protected and the councillors are not.
Supported me.
No, they can't ask you to go to the page because I didn't know what you were talking about.
I told you the page. Because we are 3 AM.
So we change it to that, Speaker.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Did we take note of what Councillor Olivier has raised? We've got it.
Let me go down with my other thing. I support that. Let it be.
So it was proposed by Councillor Olivier, seconded by Councillor Kolowafi.
What councillor is, Councillor Kamka was advocating.
I will move. Next item.
She will get both the cars.
Next item.
We need the long term one.
The item is section 4, item C, stroke 4, stroke 18, stroke 07, stroke 22, Approval of the revised Bitou housing selection policy, page 417 to page 464. Item is serving. Recommendations is on screen. Councillor Tsapai.
Speaker, when I read this, I picked up that this policy has got an age limit of 40 years. I was a ward councillor before, and communities rejected this. Age 44. I think then, if then we are going to adopt this, we must go to public participation and communities be told bluntly that you don't get a house if you are not 40 years. Because when we listened to them, they were saying, but at the age of 18, I've got an ID, you know, and you are dragging me out there to go and vote for you. Now, after voting for you, you tell me that I must get a house at the age of 40
for 22 years more.
You see? So it doesn't really need us here sitting here. It needs public participation. There's development that is going on and that is going to go on. Speaker must go to Ebenezer when you arise in hall and tell those people, you are not age 40, you are not going to get a house.
Out by the door.
So I'm trying to say, let's go out to the people. If they reject this, because anyway, we are an entity of government. We can do our own policy that is going to suit Bitou Municipal. Exactly. So I think, Speaker, we can take parts of the policy from the province, and some of them are not going to suit Bitou. So I'm suggesting that unless we are closed, it's a legislated thing that you get a house at age 40
and aging.
And it has never happened in Bitou. It has been coming that you are going to get a house at age 40. But we've witnessed a young people at age of 18 years getting a house in Bitou. So it needs really to be taken to communities. That's my
understanding.
What?
And in fact, it's quite bit of the criteria. We also human beings. I hope we just hold us a brief. But we talk on the same page. So there's the first one, criteria, qualifying, for everyone, up to 90% of the beneficiaries, says all of that. The above mentioned 10% will be registered on the housing database, identification for the following criteria: age, person 60 years and older, proven military veterans, proven farm workers, proven special needs, council needs, person in informal settlement where institution of development is undesirable. Continue. Where I'm going, the speaker, is whether I might have missed something that speaks to Tanya. You're finding it on your side? 8.4.3, so that we then correct that because then it contradicts through you, Councillor Speaker, Councillor Chapa, it contradicts that criteria, which is the the point that you have actually. So Tanya, you managed to find it, no?
Found it, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Age-based, is that part of the heading criteria? So it says age-based prioritization. Age-based prioritization is applicable to housing subsidy applicants of greenfield projects for housing with heads applicants and or spouse cohabiting partners that are 40 years or older. So this speaks to a specific what do you call it now?
Greenfields project.
Specific housing, type of project, this heading. So.
What is greenfield project?
Greenfields, Mr. Sakati and friends must help me, Greenfields area. The household must be registered in the municipal demand database for a period of 3 years prior to selection. The household referred to must turn 40 or older within the calendar of selection. The following exceptions is selective on a quota for that. So we just have to just get clarity quickly, Mr. Sakati, first, see you on the line, on the issue of greenfields. But
I think
that does not seem to be the criteria for all RDP projects. It seems to be a specific project related, but I think what the councillor is raising is a fundamental issue that needs to be clarified. So if we can clarify it, or if we can't clarify, then councillor to decide. No. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Greenfields is a second as opposed to brownfields where there is already people on and you must move them and then put services. For greenfields, green site.
Like 562.
Like 562. So that would include where you intended to do your flips projects. Then in relation, because I saw flips there in relation to this project, and then saying limited to age of 40. Okay, so yeah, if it clarifies, then yeah, councillor straight.
Are we all clear?
And I think that's what.
Sorry, Councillor Koloapi. Councillor Kamka.
Speaker, I read that it's just a prioritization. It's not a restriction. If I may say it like that. So that's why I don't have a problem with it. Because it simply says they should be prioritized, which in my opinion is correct. Because we do get instances where young youngsters jump the queue, people they go and see. Yeah. So that is a very important point, I think, and it should stay like that.
We give to Councillor Koloapi.
I think also us in the committee, Speaker, when we looked at all those things, we find that there was the other one we call Ungunele Bayini, that was pre-mode for anyone, where it was even we have to prioritize older citizens and everything. Then this one of the greenfields, it also, when it came to us, we felt, oh, okay, it promotes more responsible people of the certain age. Imagine taking a 21-year-old to a greenfield like even right now at Ebenezer, where we might have his lives and whatever. And those people are not working and they are older people. They are older people, whereas the arrangement of people setting themselves in the database, it's open from 18 years and above. At that one, it was more to say, whatever the case is, we need to look the revenues of the municipalities, people that might be responsible, having commitment and whatever thing. But at the same time, it's not taking away the concern that is there with the community. But imagine if there wouldn't be those things where we set and say, we need to have a certain standard that we must promote so that the things should be handled in a very responsible way, and the rates that goes with that and everything else, so that we can at least promote our municipality and the level. So it was exactly that same thing that it was stuck to us when we said, if it's 40 for the flips and whatever, because it goes with the responsibilities of the rates and everything, it's fine, because it's not taking away people to be in the database that 40 years anyway.
Yeah. Must differentiate the confusion between the criteria which has been set upfront in the policy on that setting and specifically 8.4. 8.4 is specifically in terms of what it intends to achieve. Generally on flips, we don't have 18 years people in majority who are working and having an income that is more than 1,500. So the intention is to upfront and look at those those for department. It's for council to decide, council, policy. I think there just should not be a confusion between the two headings.
Councillor Manlaba.
Just let me speak in your house. For us to actually sit and discuss this, I can tell already we are actually at common ground now. We know exactly what's what and what means what. But the issue now is when we actually this needs to be put to practicality, and then you find that the officials that are meant to actually know this like the back of their hand.
And the information that would actually be shared would actually be not the true reflection, or it would be to a point where now, instead of using prioritization as the actual meaning,
it would now mean, no, the only people we're focusing on is this. Hence, we'll be sitting with the problem. So the issue now that we understand what the policy entails.
It's not, it doesn't just vest at us actually going with the recommendation, but even with practical implementation of it, this needs to be actually done right. Or else we'll be sitting with what Councillor Tapa was just saying now, that way the community is actually seeing it pointless to actually be an upright citizen if you only need to wait up until you're 40 before you can actually get an RDP. So it just needs to be done right. Meaning policies should not be treated as something that should be filed, but we need to actually ensure that part of our implementation is actually guided by it. Thank you.
No, thank you, Councillor Manlaba. Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, as stated before, I don't have a problem with it. I understand in some communities, that might not be an issue because housing projects are a regular thing there. People get houses all the time. In other communities where people have been waiting for a long time, this is a hot topic. So like I said, it simply says these people should be prioritized. It does not mean you exclude the other persons from actually getting or qualifying. It means we should focus on the priorities. That's it. So, you know, I know in my own, I mean, this issue gets raised all the time. Where people that are older feels that when housing projects comes, the youngsters gets priority over them. So, I mean, it differs from ward to ward. It differs from community to communities. In some communities, they are struggling to fill up the empty houses. In other communities, there's a long queue. So, you know, Speaker, I would propose, did we have a proposal?
Propose. No, Speaker.
Yes.
Speaker, come.
Please go with the recommendations.
Councillor Kamkam is on the floor. Councillor Manlaba.
Thank you, Speaker. I don't get the sudden heart palpitations. Maybe the play of words and my English actually throws people over the edge. Actually, I'm actually in support of what the recommendations actually stated.
Proposed and seconded.
That's the English.
Councillor Kamkam. Next item. We're going to the next section, section 5. Item C, stroke 5, stroke 31.07, stroke 22. Status of the implementation of the water management devices as a water demand management and conservation intervention for June 2022. The item is on page 466 to page 470. The item is serving. Councillor Kamkam.
I propose that we go with the recommendations.
Yes. There's a proposal by Councillor Kamkam. Councillor?
Speaker, I would like us to add on that recommendation by the mayor that the water devices must We want to support me. They must be installed in all councillors.
Yes,
As legislators, whoever community member is, yeah.
You know you're gonna pay for it.
Taking the bull by the horn. Second, thank you.
Okay, can I have some closing arguments? It's been seconded, but I will allow one to Deputy Mayor.
Okay,
Councillor Olivier. Can we have the acting executive mayor, Mayor Busakwe on the floor? Oh, you can't.
I know what he's gonna say was on this comment. Is that it must start with the councillors. So, and seeing that we also got a presentation this morning from old lady, forget the lady's name, so.
Angela.
Yeah, so I am supporting them.
Councillor Olivier, then Councillor Sethi.
You're being symptomatic.
Speaker, I know if I say something now, I'm going to be told I'm just making a noise because it doesn't, the item is closed, but I want to have my say. I don't like must. Must is an instruction. Is council giving me an instruction to decide what I want? So I'm just saying the wording must be carefully put there. The request must come through, then councillors, it's a request. I'm a DA person and I believe in democracy. So I don't believe in giving people instructions and especially from council. So must was an instruction.
You just wasted 2 minutes.
Yes, I thought so. It's usual rude to give us an answer, but I've given my opinion.
Councillor Sethi, then we will move.
You are a legislator, you must.
No, not a must.
Councillor Sethi is on the floor, mic is on, councillors.
Be exemplar.
Thank you, Councillor Sethi.
Lead by example.
Yeah, you must lead by example.
Councillors, order. Can we behave, please?
Can you just get order here, please?
Councillor Sethi.
I'll take instruction.
Okay, thank you very much, Speaker. I'm not against,
I'm not against either.
I'm not against, councillors, but I mean, this thing must be installed for the councillors first. But what I just want to say now is that the public participation must be strengthened again, because, you know, I recall when we were having our IDP meeting with Francina, our people opposed this thing. And so I'm saying that this thing, I would like it to go back again to the public. If we can do that, please.
I emphasize, making a noise because the item is closed, council.
Then we will go. Thank you, councillors.
Can I speak up? One element of missing in terms of the discussion previously. We're happy that councillors, I saw Mike was smiling. You need to clear to us, is it prepaid or free flow?
Free flow.
Remember when we put it, Mike, yeah, just give Mike please, so because we have to be clear, councillors, Mike.
When it comes to the
Mr. Oda.
It actually defeats the object of this thing because this thing should be in prepaid mode. The reason why it's in some place open mode, it's for time, to give the people time to.
For the public participation.
But the intent and ultimacy is that it will go in prepaid.
We will prepaid in our houses.
It would really make sense that,
for now.
it would really make sense that,
Keep it out of, but, that's fine.
Let's go, councillors, to the next item. Next item on the agenda. Item C, /5/32, /07/22. Submission of revised master plans for water and sanitation services and associated study to analyze treasury data and identify projects that promote water conservation, water demand management in Bitou local municipality. The item is on page 471 to page 487. The item is now serving.
My colleague is Bitou. Now, it's just a master plan. A master plan normally has an outlook of 20 years, but we review it every 5 years to see that our approach is still current. One of the.
Thank you, Mr. Oda. The item is serving. Councillor Koloapi?
Mr. Speaker, I recommend that we accept this item because as it was presented to us, it was like, it makes us to understand that our officials are ahead, they plan, pre-planning, and they make sure that we should never see ourselves in those situations of PPE and other places that they go to water zero. Immediately for 20 years, we're already finally well planned with everything. So for me, let's go with the recommendation. Executive Mayor, the recommendation that is there that approves this.
There's a proposal by Councillor Koloapi. Let me just get Councillor Tapai, then Councillor Acting Executive Mayor, Mayor Busakwe. Councillor Tapai.
Thank you, Speaker. This town has been on par for a long time. If you remember, Speaker, this is the first town that installed desalination plant when it was not fashionable.
Yes.
Now, again, we are installing prepaid meters when it is not fashionable. I second.
Acting Executive Mayor, did you want to say something?
I was also going to second, Mr. Speaker, but always Councillor Zamba is even before me.
You said we are some.
Next item. Item C, stroke 5, stroke 32, stroke 07, stroke 22. No, sorry. Stroke C, stroke 5, stroke 33, stroke 07, stroke 22. The progress on the solar water heater project implemented by the Department of Minerals, Resource and Energy. Would find the item on page 861. The item is serving. Councillor Kapai.
I go with the recommendation.
There's a proposal that we go Acting Executive Mayor Busakwe.
Second, Speaker.
They don't want even this.
Thank you.
Safe and thing, yeah.
Acting Executive Mayor Busakwe. Sir Woda?
I don't want to say something.
Thank you, Chair. I see council has sympathy with me on this. Yeah, just a couple of things that's happening at the moment. There was a report, I think, the report served in the Mako, but we've subsequently, with the assistance of the speaker, also had a look at Ebenezer, and we find a different site now to put the geysers in, which is better suited than the other one. And we were going to move it this year, so this week. So the geysers are still in this facility, which we're paying 42,000 Rand a month. And if we don't get a geyser out by tomorrow, it'll trigger another 42,000 Rand. So since yesterday, we are, and the guys are still on site as I'm speaking, we had a broad agreement that we're going to put the geysers there this week. So yesterday we started going out there, and now the door is locked. And there's someone in there. I don't know the people there, but there's someone's furniture and stuff is in there. And now we can't get the key. The key is at some lawyer, and James and Jermaine is now busy on site to try and get the key. If we don't get the key, we're going to go into next month, which will trigger another 42,000. I've told them keep the door open because it's a municipal facility, and that's what they're now discussing on site. Also, we've spoken to DMRE about, or rather we wanted to have a meeting, but all of them declined. There's about 5-6 people in DMRE that runs this project, so we set up a meeting with them. So what's currently happening there, in this facility, the storage facility, there's 738 parts of geysers. So there's a tank, you get a solar panel, and then you get all the consumables, the pipes and the bins and etc. So I went to site there, and there is 738, and I didn't count it, but they gave me the figures. 738 geysers there, and solar panels. And then there's about 222 half installs. So the half installs relates to consumables. You remember that some time back they broke into the place and they stole some of the piping and so on. So DMRE was going to try to source the consumables to finish the job. They told us there was going to be, they issued an order to the tune of about 640,000 to the company that manufactured these things, only to find that the manufacturer is no more in existence. So now they stuck. Now they try to say to us that they can't find the parts. I went there and I found it's parts that you can get at Bitou and all these hardware places that we could use. So we tried to set up the meeting, and the meeting was going to go along the ways of saying, look, we're going to appoint, because they've got a project coordinator in place. I don't know what this bloke is doing, because he's also not getting instructions from DMRE. So we wanted to push an agenda with him and say, look, use this guy to install the geysers, because the installer is also missing. The people that install, contractor is also missing. But this guy is very passionate about this project, but he's just a project coordinator, gets his instructions from DMRE. So we wanted to sell to them, appoint this guy as the contractor. We will assist him as far as possible, and we will move the geysers, but obviously they must pay for it. Put the geysers, finish those half installs and put as much geysers we can onto roofs. And then the remainder of the material we can sort of convene and see what we're going to do with it now. And then ask them to give money to buy the balance of materials, or we could come to council and say, council, please assist with funding. They're also already on terms to take the geysers that are, after you've taken the half installs out, the rest of the geysers, which is 738, somewhere, So they had said they had a deal with Municipal that was going to take it, but Municipal since declined, and now they've got some deal with the municipality up north. Okay. So a number of things are happening. We have this promise that they're going to arrange to take the geysers up there. We, in the meantime, are arranging to put the geysers here, and we're trying to push an agenda where they appoint this bloke that's running around here to finish the half installs, because the people with the half installs are unhappy. With regards to the 68 leaking stuff, we went and visited all those, most of those people, some we couldn't find at home, but the bulk of them is completed. There's no more, should not be any leaking installations anymore. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wooden. That info, we will go to the next item. Item 6, stroke 6, stroke 41, stroke 06, 07. Stroke 22, the Pledge Tourism Interim Memorandum of Agreement on page 863, page 869. The item is serving. Councillor Nel.
This was an unfortunate incident where the contract expired without us or the tourism noticing it, and as an incident step and then temporary contract can be established. That we need to ask. I propose we go with the recommendation within the period that in that period we prepare ourselves well to make sure that we get the correct kind of informed financial reports from the tourism people, and that the contract be drafted.
Proposed by Councillor Nel. Councillor Olivier.
I second that.
Seconded by Councillor Olivier.
So you are.
Thank you, Councillor Olivier. It is then done with the portfolio of index. Haven't forgotten any item? Done. Okay. We'll move back to the order of business, which is the point 11. Urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager. We have no urgent matters. None received. We will then go to point 12. Consideration of notices of motions. We have received 4 motions. In terms of the rules of order, it was fully submitted in time. Posted by then seconded by Councillor Kapai in all four motions. Council then will deal with this motion. Councillor Botha?
Has everyone read the council or do you want me to read through it?
I would rather you read it on record.
No, it was submitted in due. It was submitted. I don't think it's needed to read. We have gone through it.
Yeah, Speaker, I think the motion speaks for itself. We've got a massive unemployment rate and we have to assist and we have to enable. And this is a motion put forward in order to do that. We've spoken to our constituents. And this is being requested and is on the top of their minds. Hence we've put forward this motion.
It's a motion submitted for.
Councillor Kapai?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would like council to take into consideration. We agree with these motions as council, as they are service delivery related motions. I don't think, Speaker, we can be against these motions because really I'm putting to council that let's all agree with these motions. Thank you.
Councillor Kapai, Councillor Nel?
Speaker, I think there are items that have to be gone through in those motions. I think we need to refer it to the administration to do a proper investigation into those matters and report back, and that we report back at the next council meeting.
Come.
Thank you, Speaker. It is quite a lengthy reading, but I've noticed that some of the items for the different wards there's similar request. I was very interested because obviously they submitted for Kirkland as well. And Councillor Botha mentioned in her motion that she has met with the youth of the specific wards and they came up with these type of suggestions. So, I was not aware of such a meeting. And it would have been nice if attendance was included or at least the dates and the venues of the meetings, just for us to also know what is happening in our areas. And I've also noted that some of the items, obviously like Councillor Nyale said, some of those items, there's already strategies and plans in place for this. And I would also recommend that we do refer to the administration and we get proper feedback on the suggestions and then it be resubmitted to council. Thank you.
Councillor Kapai?
Speaker, we must be clear here. Are we against this motion? If then we are not against these motions, administration will only take what we recommended. That these are the way that we think we can do them as administration. As I have said, these are service delivery related motions that are going to assist young people and ratepayers of this town, especially the indigent people. So I think we must agree in this council, recommend this motion and approve them, and immediately after that, they go to officials for implementation. It's them that they are going to draft a program on how this is going to be done. Then they come back and report in council that this is how we think it will work. I think we must agree as council. It's either they disagree or We all agree with this. Thank you.
Do you want to say?
I'll wait for the other councillors. I'm raising my hand just on the last part, whether administration should, I don't know whether it's administration that must agree, so, but I'll deal with it once everyone has spoken.
Acting Executive Mayor, what's your hand up?
Thank you, Speaker. I don't agree with these motions. I would like it, us to note the motions and take it back to administration.
That's what I also wanted to raise, but I will give Councillor Kamkam first, then I will speak on this.
Yes, Speaker, we cannot say it goes to administration for implementation, because in some of those items, it suggested we vote in favor of certain things, and we are not in a position to make those decisions without certain information. So I want to place on record, it's for noting and not for implementation.
Thank you. That's right. Look, just from my side, Councillor Botha, and I want to say this. Look, we are all here to upskill and uplift our youth. I am in favor to uplift our youth. But when it comes to this motion, my worry here is you mentioning your license. Now, for the community hall that's being upgraded, whose responsibility will it be to move or find an alternative? Because here we say this must become available either days that we decide on. But now the community hall becomes in the contractor's hands. We then come back and fall around to find an alternative. I'm saying this again, and it must not be seen in a manner that we are against uplifting our youth. But the manner in which this has come forward, I would suggest we take note of this with the back of our mind, still wanting to uplift our youth. And then within the 6 days after this meeting, the MM or the administration then respond to say, this is what we have found, this is our queries. We can either do it A, B, and C's way. You would read that a few months ago, we asked for a skill development center. But my favorite councillor was raising concerns. So therefore, I'm saying we are not against, but we take note of this motion. We'll refer it for response within the next 6 days after this meeting. Can we move? Yes. Thank you.
So Speaker, are you committing that there will be timeframes that will be operating where we will get a response so that it can come back again to this council so that we can agree into service delivery?
You just said 6 days.
Yes. Look, in terms of the rules of order, we take note of this. We must reply within 6 days after today's meeting. Instead of what Councillor Kamkam has raised, going into a vote all of a sudden now where it seems like we are against, and then we go ballistic in our communities to say, you see them, they are not in, you see. So we will stick to the rules of order. We take note of this. We will then reply within the next 6 days after this meeting, Councillor Botha. Thank you very much. Councillors, with that then said, there's a hand.
Speaker, who proposed and who seconded now?
The acting with Executive Mayor Musafa.
My proposal was tonight, so I propose, my proposal was that it goes back to the administration and to come back to the next council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That motion has been dealt with. Thank you. We move. Yes, it's in the rules of order. We must reply within 6 days.
We have to hear within 6.
Consideration, we will move to point 13. Consideration of notice of questions. We received none. We will then move to point 14. No exigencies. With that, we will go to in committee. How many time do you need, Jess? 5 minutes. The directors can be excused.
I request that director, why are we excusing the director? Oh, because.
In committee.
Can I ask that the two legal manager, Kraus and to remain?
No.
Only those two.
We are voting for hours now. What are you gonna do about this?
You know, I like you though. I love you, but.
I'm not 5 minutes.